Good afternoon. Welcome to Simon's Trading Channel. My name is Simon and I do a daily Bitcoin price action analysis. This is Sunday. Happy Sunday to you. Hope you've had a good weekend. And we're going to have a weekly closure in just less than 12 hours on all the perpetual exchanges, Bybit being the one we're looking at right now. CME, which isn't a perpetual exchange, it closed on Friday, I think around 52,000. So, that's pretty much where we are, or where Bybit is at the moment. But that looks like a good candle for a closure if you're an investor or a Bitcoin holder, or if you're a trader and you're long. So hopefully everyone's pleased with that as a closure, even though it's not closure yet, but it will be in 12 hours. You know what I'm on about. Right, move on, Simon. We can all see the weekly. Moving down to the lower time frames, quickly the daily. So the weekly support is this line that I've drawn on. The daily support is there. And if we then move down to my 4-hourly support, I have moved it up in a very frivolous way. So all of last week was down here at 50,000, and I've moved it up to there, 51,000, which is probably a good sign, right? If your support lines are moving up. I could just put another one in, but then you end up with too many lines. So I've moved it up. And I've moved it up to here because in the last 24 hours, we've had all these 4-hour closures that have made this look like a local low on a 4-hour time frame. So that's why my 4-hour line of randomness as a support is now at 51,000 rather than 50,000. Zooming into and I do wonder if this bearish divergence is now all played out with that pullback. Maybe. You only really know when it gets back above the 4-hour highs, though, which are coming in at 52.4 on a 4-hour. Let's move down to the lower time frames. And you can see I've been drawing some more lines of randomness on. This is the 4-hour support line, Simon's support line. And this is Simon's, macro resistance line, really, at the moment, because it's the same on all time frames. That's not true. If you're doing it as a 15-minute, you put it up here. But as a 4-hour or more for closures, it's there. The central line is, mid-range. So this is the range. And I was so excited yesterday because this range had been going on since last Wednesday. And yesterday I was like, lower time frame break. If we can get if Bitcoin can get a 4-hour closure below that line, that'll look awesome for a move down. And do you know what happened? It didn't get a 4-hour closure. So it wasn't even a proper breakout. It was just like a fake out on the lower time frames. And now it's back within the range. What I can see on this within the range is a sequence of higher lows, which is why I've drawn on this trend line, and 2 highs. So one there and one there. And that's why I've drawn on this line of resistance. This is a lower time frame line of resistance, though, and so it doesn't pertain to any of the higher time frames. So the 4-hour resistance is still up at 52.4, give or take. And you hear people talk about this sort of shape as, that was me apologizing for a filthy burp. You hear people talk about ascending triangles and descending triangles and all this sort of stuff and pattern formations. Well, that's fine, but all they are is a sequence. In this case, in this one, all they are is a trend line along some higher lows up against a local resistance. So that's all they are. So you can call them whatever you like, but that's all they are. They're just a way of visually encapsulating this price action to make it look a bit more pleasing to my simple human brain. So there you go. That's, what's that, 5 minutes? Got a bit more time. So for the way that I look at this price action on the lower time frames, it's generally 15 minutes or lower. This does look like buying pressure on the lower time frames, but with resistance coming in above. And so lower time frame closures above here, you would expect to move even potentially on the lower time frames back up to 52.6. But for that to then drip into the higher time frames, you need a 4-hour closure back above 52.4 for continued upside. In the absence of that, you'd expect a break of this lower time frame resistance line to beget, I'm not sure if that's the right way to use that word, or with continuation to the upside, followed by potential resistance and a turn back down back into the range. So we'll see how that pans out. The reciprocal is that the price on the lower time frames never gets through this. It's more of a support area, but you know what I mean. You never get closures above that line. And indeed, it starts to break the trend line with maybe a lower low and potentially a lower high, and then could well be a move back down to the bottom of the range. So we'll see what happens. There's not much left of the week. A stab in the dark for me would be that if you get to move up to the top of the range. That's a stab in the dark, though. And I think it'll be interesting to come back to it Monday morning, see where it's closed, and then I will do another video with some hopefully interesting price action to look at. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a special Sunday to end off your weekend. And it's nice and sunny at the moment in Wales, so that's good news. Try and get outside. If you would be so kind as to like and subscribe, I'd be eternally grateful, and I'd give you a double thumbs up. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy.